Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11th, 2024. From your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus a regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.
Hey guys, welcome in and a very happy Thursday to you now. February the 2nd, that's right, 2023. And what a slate of games we have tonight in college hoops. Plenty of great matchups. We're going to break down a few of the top games on the evening, see if we can come up with, one or two best bets along the way for you. And we're going to do it with three of the best at WagerTalk.com on the college hardwood as we welcome back in the pen. Although it looked like a number 2 pencil, but we'll stick with the pen. Ralph Michaels, there it is. All right, he's good to go. The pen is in, as is Adam Trigger. And Mr. Rob Vino ready to roll here on this Thursday. Loaded card across the board here in college hoops. Going to be a good one here, Ralph. Do you have anything locked, loaded, ready to roll over at WagerTalk.com?
I have a 3-pack of college basketball plays. I'm going to give one of them away for free. And for those that normally watch the show, I've been off for a few weeks getting things situated. I went to the bottom of the barrel, Joe. Oh. My free play today is on team number 359 in the Ken Palm rating. So
yes.
One more thing. We started a show called Wager Talk Last Call a few weeks ago, hosted by Megan Payton. I'm going to be on today, and we are having a pen giveaway. Ooh. So if you want a pen mailed to you, watch the last call. Make sure you're watching it live. I'll be putting a lot of pens in the mail the next couple days. So check that out today. 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern.
You better include one of those damn sweaters in that package as well there. What is going on, Adam Trigger? What is happening here, my man? I know this card. A lot of intriguing spots here tonight. What do you got locked, loaded, ready to roll for us?
Yeah, so similar to Ralph, I'll also be on Last Call today. So check that out, 6 o'clock. I also have, right now I have 2 plays up. I may have a third. And like Ralph, I'm going to give you one of my 4%ers for free. And there's a coupon code that works for my 3-day all access. I think it'll be up until tomorrow. It's Game 3, and it gets you 3 days at a discounted rate. So get that, check that out. 3-day all access coupon code Game 3. And it'll get, my entire card for today, the next 3 days, any 5% plays. But I do have one of the 4%ers that I have for tonight, and I'm going to give it out at the end of the show.
All right, plenty of college hoops here, NBA action as well. Vino, what do you got on the card for us tonight? Plenty of different places to look for sure.
Yeah, unlike the other two guys, what's available right this second is a 4% best bet from NBA action. College will be uploaded later on this afternoon, but right now found a spot in the NBA that we like quite a bit, released it as a best bet earlier today. So you can find that up and available at WagerTalk.com. College basketball has been kind to me, Joe. Again, slow and steady, but a 27-13 start to the season. 36 units of profit ahead of the game. So it's been nice, and hopefully we continue it here today.
All right, guys, again, all three available at WagerTalk.com. Visit their page here today when you are watching this. And we are going to start with game number 1. And boy, oh boy, Do not mess with the Owls, damn it. The FAU Owls traveling take on UAB. 1.5 are what we're seeing right now for UAB, a slight favorite. I mean, how do you go wrong here? 146.5, 7 o'clock Eastern time. This we saw this match once already this year, and that was FAU, I believe, getting it done, as they have done across the board, especially against the number. And Ralph, kind of hard to get in front of this train, isn't it, this Florida Atlantic, or is this the time we're going to do this?
Well, this is the time I want to do it. But unfortunately, the injury list is going to keep me from doing it. You look at Florida Atlantic, 20 straight wins, 11-0 in conference play, longest win streak in the country. And I'll tell you what, it's not an anomaly. This team is deep. No player on FAU has played more than 62% of the minutes. They have 9 guys that play from 41% to 62% of the minutes, 8 of them from 51 to 66, So their bench is the number 1 scoring bench in the country. So, it's not up to one guy. It's not up to 2 guys. There are 8 guys that are making this run, which makes them one of the deepest teams. That's normally the teams I love to play. You're not counting on your number 1 or number 2 go-to scorer to go on the road. But UAB is a team that was expected to win this conference. They only had 2 starters back, but they had the conference player of the year returning, their point guard. So I would love to be on UAB. FAU now has a bullseye on their back. They are a team that is now ranked. Of course, this win streak, we saw them fail to cover their last game against Western Kentucky, as these lines are now becoming inflated. But to me, if I can tune this game in, Jordan Walker is a 4-year starter. He went to Seton Hall, 2 years in Tulane, came here last year, won Conference Player of the Year, won Conference Newcomer of the Year, was preseason Conference Player of the Year, and he's missed their last 5 games. He's questionable now today, so he's going to see if he can warm up. To me, there is so much value on him. I make him almost 5 or 6 points. So if Jordan Walker does not play, I will sneak in a bet on FAU. If Jordan Walker does play, I will lean UAB. So no opinion to give you here, except to me, the game hinges on Mr. Jordan Walker.
Well, there you go. I mean, what are you thinking here, Adam Trigger? Is this a game and a team you want to get in front of here tonight?
No, I'm with Ralph. I mean, I'm looking to so I did play against Florida Atlantic. I bet Western Kentucky over the weekend, took the 12.5 in cash. And I would be looking that way here, but Jelly Walker's just too important. It's impossible to know whether he's going to play or not. He's probably going to warm up. And like a lot of these guys, I mean, you've seen it for the last couple weeks. Jet Howard comes to mind. I got on the wrong end of it one last night with Dawson Garcia for Minnesota. They kind of go through warm-ups, see how it responds, and then decide if they're going to play. So I think Ralph gave some good advice here. Keep an eye on this like an hour before and just try to get ahead of that news that's likely going to come out about an hour before this game, because if Walker is out, like Florida Atlantic will go off favored. And if he's playing, I think UAB could go off. Like if he gets ruled in, UAB will go off -3.5, -3, -3.5. It could move that far, either way. So he's a very important player, very difficult to recommend a side in this game without knowing if he will definitely play or not. But just from a general perspective, like the spot here for UAB being at home, I was on UAB +2.5 in the first meeting, got a fortunate cover, but that game was right in the balance till the very end. One shot, and Walker, just to note his importance, 21 points in that first meeting. Guy averages like 24 a game on the season. So with such a key player, questionable, I don't really know how you sort of make a strong case for or against without knowing his status. But I do agree with Ralph in the respect that Florida Atlantic is no joke. This team has passed. They haven't lost since November 11th. They've passed every single big test this year. They have a win over Florida. And every time they've come up in the spot where they should lose in conference play, there was one a couple weeks ago against UTEP. even over the weekend, that Western Kentucky team is legit. That was a no gimme of a win there for them, despite being a double-digit favorite. Florida Atlantic always seems to pass the test. This team is really, really good. And unless I know that I'm getting UAB at full strength, I can't fade them here in a spot where you'd essentially need to win. It isn't like the weekend where I was catching 12.5 with Western Kentucky and just needed a good game. You're going to need to beat Florida Atlantic here. That's not easy to do. So that's kind of how I see it. But until we know Jelly Walker's status, I can't really recommend this either way.
All right. Well, there seems to be two in the jelly corner here. What are you thinking, Rob Vino? You got any shot quality numbers for us here?
Well, you have to be in the Jordan Walker column here, Joe. I mean, it's that important. These guys both laid it out ahead of me real well. It could be worse for UAB, right? I mean, they had a couple of rotational players suspended on Saturday that they'll get back tonight. Ty Brewer, Javian Davis. First time around, Davis was an important factor. 15 points. They both are, like I say, in the top 8 in rotation and percentage of minutes played. So at least they'll have those two guys back. I find the number interesting here, Joe. The fact that it's gone from pick up to UAB 1.5 would almost suggest to you that either everybody's playing the revenge spot or that potentially Walker's in the game. However, if Walker was in the game, then the total wouldn't go down from 148 to 146.5. So you got two movements here that don't really give you any indication as to if anybody knows anything about his status. UAB is an interesting case study without him, guys. If you just speak from the totals perspective, they're 16-2 to the over to start the year. They're 3-0 under since. Their field goal percentage without Walker has gone way down. They're 41.5% or less from the field in 4 of their last 5. They're not a good point spread team to begin with. 4-11 against the spread in their last 15 games. 3-8 against the spread versus Conference USA. 0-6 against the spread at home versus Conference USA. However, 4 of those are as double-digit favorites. They're not in this price range. So I don't know. It's a probably stay away from game. Unless you find out something on Walker's status before, you could go ahead and guess and maybe beat the line movement. But Florida Atlantic's been really good on the road covering numbers. UAB hasn't been good at home covering numbers. It's funny, we're going to talk about 3 games here that are all home revenge spots. This one I think I'll let go, though, just because Walker's that important to the UAB cause.
All right, we're going to figure it out, guys, if they are for real. Some teams, some people feel they're for real. We'll see if they can continue to roll here. The FAU Owls tonight should be a good one. We'll head out west, too. Should be a pretty good one out west, too, as Washington State ready to take on USC. 131.5 in the total. USC laying 7 here now. Intriguing here. USC. Nice win against, pretty much a pretty good rival there at UCLA. But what are we thinking here? Is 7 too much of a number to be laying here, Ralph?
It's right about where I make it, and I am going to lean with the under in this. I did look up in the database. Is there an advantage when we get to February for teams that have a full week off like USC did? Their last game against UCLA, an upset. If they were playing 2 days later, I probably would have looked to fade USC. But I don't put that win in the same category, having played last Thursday and now playing this Thursday. You look at USC, they lost the home opener against Florida Gulf Coast, and they've been undefeated at home since that point. You have an efficient team with offense and defense. And what sticks out to me is they're a mediocre 3-point defense, number 160-something in Ken Palm's rankings. But in 2-point defense, we saw a great 2-point defense with the Mobley brothers there a few years ago, but they're actually number 1 in the country in 2-point defense. And Washington State is number 297 in 2-point offense. So to me, I lean USC, but I am going to go with the under here. You have 2 teams, incredibly slow tempo. While Washington State is number 327, they're one of the slowest teams. They're in the 320s 330s maybe when their offense comes up. So they take the time. Kyle Smith tells them not to push the ball. They're very slow in bringing up the ball. USC, number 300 in defense as far as tempo goes. Teams very slow bringing up the pace with them. So I'm going to lean under the 131.5. The stronger play, I think, is first half under. The second half, if the team has a lead, you start getting to the free throw situations. USC is a decent free throw team if they have the lead and they're getting fouled. So top opinion for me in this game, under first half, USC Washington State.
All right, first half, like it. What do you think, Vino? How do you approach this one here tonight, USC Washington State?
Well, again, you have home revenge, right? USC gets beat by this team 81-71 New Year's Day. A couple of things here, Joe. Ralph alluded to the Thursday to Thursday. I mean, does 6 days off for USC correlate to rest, or does it correlate to rust? I mean, it's always the question that gets answered best after the game is over. Washington State did play on Saturday, so they're a little more in the flow of game action, a little more in the flow of the Pac-12 schedule generally. Vincent Iwuchukwu, we talked about him last week. We had the USC-UCLA game on this show. And at the time, I think it was his third game back or maybe fourth game back, but he was working his way in, another 7'1" interior player for USC. Since he's come back into their lineup, they're 4-1 against the spread. And against Washington State's bigs, it's real important in there that USC has the extra big in there. So I think that 2-point defense that Ralph talked about being so good becomes even better for USC. Couple of things where shooting is concerned. Washington State has not shot 40% from the floor in 4 straight games. They're under 44 straight. They're not a good shooting team. If they don't bring their 3-point game to the table here, they don't win this contest. USC defensively, on the other hand, has not allowed 40% in 4 of their last 6. So again, good USC defense, a Washington State offense that really needs the threes to help them out. We'll see if they can bring them on the road. I think what we saw last week in what was an exact replica of what happened between USC and UCLA the first time, right? UCLA gets off to the big first half lead. USC comes back and absolutely annihilates them second half. The only difference this time was USC won the game going away and weren't beaten on a buzzer beater. The one playmaker on the floor when push comes to shove is Boogie Ellis. He belongs to USC. I kind of like the revenge spot here, guys. I see some 6.5s out there. So if you're going to shop it, if you like the Trojans, go ahead and shop it and get yourself the 6.5. Don't lay the full 7. But I think they're the right side here. I think they're coming on as the season goes on here. We're into February now. We're like we said for the earlier game, and what we'll say for the next game. It's the second time around. You know everybody's sets. You know what's going on. I just think USC on both ends of the floor is a little bit better, so I would try that side.
All right. What do you think, Trig? In agreement here? Or are you leaning one way or the other?
Yeah, I like USC. The guys did a great job breaking it down, so I just have a couple of quick points to add. You go back to the first meeting, Rob Vino mentioned the 3-point shooting. Well, Washington State hit 14 threes in that first game. 14 for 29 from 3. So I don't know if you get that same shooting performance on the road here, where Washington State is 1-5. I don't give USC a huge home court advantage. I haven't been there yet, Joe. You know I'll get there at some point. But I know people that have, and they said that's not a huge home court edge, the Galen Center, despite whatever their record is from an atmosphere standpoint. But Washington State is 1-5 on the road. I think there is something to that. More, the fact that they've only won once on the road this year. TJ Bamba has a hand injury. He's playing, but he's been playing hurt. So I think that's something, that would sort of lean me toward USC as well. And I guess when it comes down to it, I'm not a huge Andy Enfield guy, but he's got the superior talent here. And I'm starting to come around a little bit on this USC team, Joe. They're better than I thought they were going to be. I wrote about the Pac-12 in Ralph's preview at the beginning of the year. One of my takes was that USC was going to be a little bit of a play against. But I think I'm slowly starting to get away from that. USC is a pretty good team, and I would not be surprised if they win this one by double digits. I also like the spot and think USC probably covers this number.
All right. Well, we got one more out west here. We're going to take a look at and see what you guys think about Oregon and Arizona. Arizona is an 8-point favorite. 151 is the total on this one. Ralph, what Dana Altman had hoped for so far this year. What do you think about their chances tonight?
I don't like their chances at all. Arizona went up to Oregon and played the worst game of their season. 5 games ago on January 14th, they allowed 53.1% shooting in that game. But you look at the dynamics in this game. We have an Oregon team that has played, I believe, 4 road games. That's 4 road games the whole season. And they were against 3 of the worst 4 teams. Excuse me, they played at UCLA, they lose. They play at Colorado, bottom 4. They play at Utah, top 4. They play at Stanford and at Colorado. So, number one, you have not been tested on the road midseason. That UCLA was the first game. Since that game where Arizona allowed 53%, they started working on their defense. They had a practice the day they came back. The last 4 games, they allowed USC 36.9%. They allowed UCLA 31.3%. They went to Washington State, allowed 32.8%. And then they went to Washington, allowed 43.5%. On the flip side, when you look at Oregon in their road games this year, Oregon on the road shooting 42.8%. Current form, the revenge from what has happened, the way Arizona has locked down their defense. Arizona was close to making it on my card. I left it off. It was the next one in line. I was trying to be a little more conservative, but clearly best bet worthy. But I have a different best bet for you as well. So Arizona for me.
Arizona it is. Trig, you agree?
I don't disagree with a lot of the points Ralph made in that sort of suggest Arizona might be the play here, but I guess I'll just bring up the reasons that I maybe was off of this. Like, I kind of looked at Oregon. Oregon now granted, Joe, you go back to Ralph's preview, Pac-12, I was really high on Oregon coming into the season. So, take that for what it is. But I think Oregon's come around a little bit. They've won 4 of their last 5. And you go back to that first meeting and, Ralph referenced 53.1% from Oregon, but that's because Oregon can score on the inside and they also defend the paint well. And I think that's why they matched up well with Arizona the first time. Now, does that play here, or is Arizona, can they make the adjustments? I mean, Arizona is an elite team and we've seen them, be very elite at home. So maybe they do make the adjustment and run Oregon off their floor. But for me, I lean toward Oregon because I liked the matchup the first time. I still think there's something that plays there. I mean, you're not probably going to get a 20-point blowout, but I do think there's things from the first matchup that suggest this is a decent matchup for Oregon from a gameplay perspective. That being said, I don't know that I want to fade Arizona in Tucson here, but I lean toward the Ducks. Not super strong for me. Not going to make my card, but it was the way I looked in this game.
Okay. What are you laying or are you taking the points here, Vino? How you rolling with it?
I'd rather look total, Joe. I think that number's too high. 151.5 just appears to be too high. Now, Ralph, I'm sitting here and I'm going over my notes, and as I'm going over them, Ralph's rattling them off. But I can add a little bit to what Ralph said here. Let's just talk about Arizona last 4 games. And let me start with this. Where the heck is Tony Mejia today? Because last week he ignited the fire against Kerr Kriisa and how poor he's played. And then I came along and poured gas on the fire. And since then, he's 11 of 21 from 3-point range. If he's going to shoot like that, Arizona's going to win a lot of games. So certainly he's in a hot streak right now. He could go cold at any second. But while he's shooting well, you probably want to be on Arizona. Ralph talked about the defensive practice in the last 4 games. Let's put it into perspective here. Field goal percentage margin differential. between Arizona and their opponents over the last 4 games, plus 8.8, plus 12.0, plus 7.5, plus 11.4. When you're talking field goal percentage, those are huge margins of victory for Arizona. And Oregon on the Pac-12 road this year as an underdog, their games only average 120 total points. This total is 151.5. So I got a team that is playing extremely good defense, and from 3-point range, they haven't allowed anything in their last 4 games. All 4 opponents have shot under 30% from 3. So I had an Oregon team that generally plays low-scoring games inside the conference. At least the 3 that they've played, they've been extremely low, 120 total. I've got a home team with revenge that's playing outstanding defense right now. Don't know how much Oregon will score here. I know Arizona loves to run, and it's always playing with fire if you play in Arizona under. But I just think this 151.5 is a little too high, so I'd prefer to stay under here.
All right, total it is. Couple of sides, little total. When you put it all together, it is a loaded damn basketball card here tonight. So let's get some best bets from these guys. And Ralph, we'll come to you, my man. You hinted towards something there. Which game, though, did you circle for us on the show today?
All right, Joe. We talked about those games. The only.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Ralph. We just got to get you to refresh that real quick on your link. Trig, I'm going to go to you. Go ahead and tell me which is the best bet you're rolling with here tonight.
Yeah, Joe. So of the show plays, I would lean UAB if Jelly is in. If not, I have no play there. So I'm going to go off the board. I'm going to give you one of my 4% plays. If you watch Wager Talk today, you already know what it is. But I'll just reiterate the fact that I am on Sacramento State +1. Sacramento State at home this year, 8-1. Their only loss was last time out to Montana State. And even with the fact that Eastern Washington is 10-0, they've won 12 straight games, I still have Montana State, as the best team in that conference. And I actually do think that Eastern Washington, as good as they've been, are due for a little bit of regression going forward. This was a team that kind of came out of nowhere as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Steele Venters is nasty. He's a pro, but I didn't have Eastern Washington in my top 3 in the Big Sky this year, and they've led it, the entire way so far. Sacramento State has a green out tonight, Joe, at the Hornets Nest, the 1,000-seat venue on campus there, one of the smallest venues in college basketball. Hopefully it's full. Hopefully it's a tough environment for the road team. And like I said, it's been a tough environment for road teams so far. 8-1, Sacramento State at home. I love David Patrick. He's the guy that built up UC Riverside. He left to go be an assistant with Eric Musselman after the COVID year with the uncertainty around the California programs. He's now back as a head coach for Sacramento State. He brought in a bunch of great transfers. He's turned this team around in essentially 1 year. And I think they're only going to continue to get better, in my opinion. They've already seemed to figure out how to win games at home, and I think they have another win here. So I am on Sacramento State +1. I think Eastern Washington's win streak is finally snapped tonight, and the Hornets get the win. 4% play for me at WagerTalk.
All right, let's get it done. Vino, what are you thinking, my man? Best bet here for us.
Yeah, I always use one that we talk about on the show, Joe, and I'm going to go right back to what I talked about last. The Oregon-Arizona game just seems to be priced a little bit too high where total is concerned. Arizona's been under this number in 3 of their last 4, despite the fact that they like to play pace. Oregon's been under this number in 4 straight ever since they played Arizona last. I think Dana Altman, to the best of his ability, will try to somewhat slow it down. And the only time Arizona has gone over in their last 4 games was against Washington, who really is defenseless at stopping anybody from scoring. So in my mind, just to do sheer mathematics, I think if Arizona wins, which I think they will, it will be with a maximum of 80. I don't necessarily think Oregon gets above 70. 80 and 70 is only 150. At best, I think that's the ceiling here. So give me Arizona, Oregon under 151.5.
Perfect. Ralph, one more time to you, man. What do you got for us? Best bet.
Test, all good?
Boom.
All right. Hey, Rob, 80
Yes.
plus 70 is 150. You're correct.
All right.
Thank you, Ralph.
All right, Joe. As I said, you want to talk ugly? I've got ugly. There are only 4 teams. There's 363 teams in college basketball. Only 4 teams are worse: IUPUI, Hartford, Green Bay, and Long Island in the Ken Palm ratings. But I am going to go with that team, which is number 359, and it's Lamar plus 10. There's a system that I use in February. It's been successful for 10 years, Joe. It's a 32% system over 10 years. February, when a team has a win percentage of 30% or less, like McNeese State, and you're off back-to-back losses as a favorite, and now you're a favorite of 2 or more. So, excuse me, you only have to be off back-to-back losses, and now you're a favorite of 2 or more. So while Lamar is as ugly as it gets, they're 350-something on offense, they're 350-something on defense. They have gone 2-5 straight up their last 7 games. They have gone 4-2-1 in that stretch. And McNeese has lost 7 straight games and including losing 3 of those as a favorite. So while I would never bet on Lamar, the situation playing against McNeese State as a double-digit favorite in this role is too strong to pass up. So I am on the Cardinals tonight.
All right. And our good friends over at the Gold Sheet, they got a play they're looking at here tonight, and it involves Michigan and Northwestern. And they're back in the Wolverines here tonight. And they're going to say, of course, Northwestern's 5th game in 11 nights after a small pause for COVID issues. Hunter Dickinson has only played, 23 minutes against Penn State in that last game. He should be rested and ready to go. And, of course, they won that first meeting by 7, despite committing 10 more turnovers. So Michigan is the play for our friends from the Gold Sheets. I am going to go Houston, Wichita State under 131. If you need me to explain why, you haven't been paying attention. One more time. Here we've got here, guys. Houston ain't giving up more than 45 in this one. Lamar plus 10 for Ralph Michaels. He went deep, and this is on the extra games card right now. Sacramento State, that's going to be +1 for Adam Trigger. Vino, give me the under 151.5. We did the math. Ralph absolutely agrees. Under in that Oregon-Arizona game. I'm going to go Houston and Wichita State under, and our friends from the Gold Sheet +3.5. They're taking Michigan. Don't forget, guys, best bets available. WagerTalk.com. Head on over there. Grab yourself their best bets here tonight. No better time to make it an extremely profitable start to the month of February than by visiting Ralph Michaels and Rob Vino and, of course, Adam Trigger. Head over there today, guys, and make plans. Come back and join us again tomorrow in that round of college basketball games coming your way. Until then, best of luck with all your plays, guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11th, 2024. From your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus a regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately